Right friends, welcome back to main events of 7th week from 15th February to 21st February. Important events: visit of KP Sharma Oli, the Prime Minister of Nepal, probably helped removing certain misgivings. KP Sharma Oli chose India as the first country to visit after becoming Prime Minister. Second important point is he visited after the Madhesi agitation was withdrawn. Prime Minister launched Shyam Prasad Mookerjee urban mission in Chhattisgarh. We have to see whether it is different from Pura, which was contemplated long ago by the late President APJ Abdul Kalam. Bypolls in 8 states, slight advantage for NDA. In principle approval for gravitational wave detector, rupees 1200 crore gravitational wave detector was given go ahead by the Union Cabinet. Some other important cabinet decisions which include there will be collaboration between Ayush and World Health Organization so as to make Ayush as the another alternative medicine system across the world. 400 cities or towns will be open defecation free by December 2016, and Mysore became the cleanest city under Swach Bharat survection. Government launched rupees 2200 crore electronics development fund, and subsequently it will be enhanced to rupees 10,000 crores. We have to wait and see whether it will give the required fillip to the electronics sector. Major world powers agree for cessation of hostilities in Syria, the desired step or the first step in the right direction. First cargo train from China arrives in Iran. Recently, the President of China visited Iran and both the countries decided to extend trade relations so as to reach $600 billion within 10 years. In this backdrop, this assumed a lot of significance. Right friends, now let us look at the first and the foremost event. KP Sharma Oli visit to India. There was a lot of misunderstanding created, especially with regard to Madhesis. Madhesis are Indian origin people living in the border Terai region. They were not happy because their areas were bifurcated into several provinces as per the new constitution. They resorted to agitation. They blocked trade routes with India. And don't forget, the predominant trade routes runs through Bihar to Nepal, and Madhesis blocked trade routes. That infuriated Nepalis, and subsequently there was a lot of misunderstanding created between India and Nepal. And if you look at the present scenario in a nutshell, I have listed out here. This is the backdrop before the visit of KP Sharma Oli to India. First and the foremost point is India could not wholeheartedly welcome the new constitution of Nepal because of a Madhesis issue. Second is Nepal felt that Madhesis are supported by India. The strongest opinion across Nepal is Madhesis are indirectly supported by India. Third point is Nepal suspected that with the connivance of Madhesis, India itself blocked the trade routes. And Nepal suffered a lot. There was a rationing introduced for petroleum products during the past 5 months in Nepal. Several essential supplies were also affected, and Nepalis strongly felt India is behind this, and deep misunderstanding and mistrust created. Nepal suffered for want of essential supplies, and it gave rise to the new concept of Nepali nationalism. And there is a strong opinion across Nepal that India is unnecessarily more than desired level interfering in the internal affairs of Nepalis. And Nepal also explored the option of getting supplies from China. But getting supplies from China is not that an easy task because Nepal and China are separated by high altitude Himalayan ranges. So, Nepal is well connected to India through plane routes, right. So, with this backdrop, and Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli finally decided to visit India, and two things are very important. He decided to visit India as his first foreign visit. Second important point is he decided to visit India after the withdrawal of agitation by Madhesis. These two things are highly significant, and if you look at the visit of Nepalese Prime Minister, both the countries signed 9 agreements in the fields of road infrastructure, railway sector, arts and culture, and both the countries decided that the hydro projects with combined capacity of 7,000 megawatt will be developed. Both the Prime Ministers inaugurated 400 kilovolt this Muzaffarpur Dhalkebar cross-border transmission line. This Dhalkebar is in Nepal and Muzaffarpur is in the Bihar state of India. And Indian Prime Minister stated that India will support for opening Ayurveda College in Himalayan region, and India also pledged additional support of $250 million for post-earthquake reconstruction. And please don't forget, India after the earthquake announced $1 billion as aid to the Himalayan nation. Now it pledged $250 million for post-earthquake reconstruction. However, the visit of KP Sharma Oli cleared the deep mistrust between both the countries, which was developed in recent times because of Madhesi agitation. Right friends, if you look at the next issue, the Prime Minister launched Shyam Prasad Mookerjee Urban Mission. And what exactly is Urban Mission? Please go back to 10 years. If you go back 10 years, the then President APJ Abdul Kalam conceived the concept of PURA, P-U-R-A, providing urban amenities in rural areas, and whatever the reason, it could not take off. Villages were identified to provide urban amenities, but finally it could not take off. Now the present government came up with Dr. Shyam Prasad Mookerjee Urban Mission. And what is the rationale behind this project? This project primarily aims at selecting a cluster of geographically adjacent villages. The cluster of geographically adjacent villages will be selected, and population contemplated is 25,000 to 50,000 in plain and coastal areas, 5,000 to 15,000 in desert, hilly or tribal areas, and cluster of villages will be developed. Now lot of migration is taking place to metropolitan centers and urban areas, and the government's aim is, let us select a cluster of villages and let us develop them so that the job opportunities will be created in those cluster of villages. And the ultimate aim is 300 clusters will be developed by 2020 under this Dr. Shyam Prasad Mookerjee Urban Mission, basically to create livelihood opportunities in rural areas so as to prevent the migration, mass migration to urban or metropolitan centers. And you may ask, what are the areas contemplated for development under this program? The first one is skill development linked to economic activities. Then second is digital literacy. Third one is the fully equipped mobile health. Then inter-village road connectivity and electronic connection of gram panchayats or e-gram connectivity. Then LPG connections to the entire village population, then public transport improvement, then sanitation and water supply. So these are all contemplated under Dr. Shyam Prasad Mookerjee Urban Mission. And here the Prime Minister inaugurated in a village in Rajnandgaon district of Chhattisgarh. Basically, it intends to bridge the rural-urban divide by bringing civic and infrastructural amenities to clusters of villages across the states. That is the main intention of this SPMRM. Right friends, let us move on to the next issue. The next issue is Bypolls in 8 states. Slight advantage for BJP-led NDA. Here in 2-3 states, there is a slight advantage for BJP. In Uttar Pradesh, BJP snatched 1 seat from Samajwadi Party. If you look at Madhya Pradesh, BJP snatched the seat from Congress. Congress held it previously. And if you look at Punjab, this Shiromani Akali Dal clinched the seat from Congress. Like that, there is a slight advantage for NDA, and remaining things you can go through this slide. Look into the next issue, in principle approval for gravitational wave detector. All of you are well aware about LIGO project. We discussed in detail in the previous lectures, including news analysis with regard to gravitational waves. Gravitational waves are produced because of burning out or collision of various celestial bodies, and previously it was thought that it is not possible to measure these gravitational waves on Earth, but now these LIGO detectors, which were established in United States of America, detected gravitational waves for the first time, and the idea or the theory of Albert Einstein was made a reality when these gravitational waves were detected, and now Union Cabinet decided to give go ahead for establishment of LIGO India project, and it will cost rupees 1200 crores and it will be completed within 8 years of time. And all of you are well aware about LIGO at 2 locations in United States of America. And similarly, one more, that is the Virgo detector, is also available near Pisa in Italy. And now Indian detector will increase the chances of detecting events that generate gravitational waves. And as we have already discussed, Indian scientists also took part in the LIGO project, and their role was somehow limited to theoretical aspects and data analysis. And once this LIGO India project is established, it will elevate India's scientific community, as the construction, commissioning and running of observatory will be the sole domain of India in future. And please don't forget, almost a year ago, India already sanctioned neutrino observatory at a cost of 1500 crores of rupees. So, neutrino observatory at a cost of rupees 1500 crores is in the planning stage, and now India approved LIGO India project at a cost of rupees 1200 crores, which is expected to come up in 8 years. And you may ask, what are the institutions which were associated with the LIGO project? Please look into these institutions. One is Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. This is a Pune-based institution. And in the establishment of LIGO India project, it will be the key stakeholder and will be responsible for developing science teams, human resources development and scientific data computation. And if you look at IPR Gandhinagar, IPR is Institute of Plasma Research. It has got expertise in high vacuum and cryogenic systems. And another institute, that is Raja Ramanna Center for Advanced Technology, that is RRCAT Indore. This has got expertise in lasers. Probably in the establishment of LIGO India project, these 3 famous institutions may be associated with. And if you look at other cabinet decisions, cabinet approved 6 railway lines and railway bridge at a cost of around rupees 10,700 crores. And important railway lines include this doubling of Katni-Singrauli line and third line between Katni-Anuppur. These are important coal transportation lines. And please don't forget, Indian Railways transport more than 1100 million tons of cargo, and out of 1100 million tons of cargo, more than 50% is predominantly coal. So, more than 550 million tons is coal. Second important aspect is collaboration for traditional medicine between Ministry of Ayush and World Health Organization. Now, it will improve international acceptability and branding of Ayush systems. We have separate minister for Ayush, and you may ask, what is Ayush? Ayush is Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. Government wants to improve the international acceptability of this. Previously, government tried international acceptability of yoga, and accordingly, International Day of Yoga was nominated on June 21. And similarly, government wants to give more emphasis for internationalizing this traditional medicine systems of Ayush. Then government also approved the ratification of the Instrument of Acceptance of Protocol of Trade Facilitation Agreement of WTO, and basically with this Trade Facilitation Agreement, this customs tariffs will come down and trade barriers will be reduced. If you look into the other aspect, 400 cities or towns will be open defecation free by December 2016. And recently, government announced Swach Bharat Sarvekshan results or Swach Sarvekshan results. 73 cities were identified and they were evaluated basically on three aspects. One is construction of toilets, second is solid waste management, third one is service delivery. These three are the predominant aspects. Based on these three aspects, 73 cities were evaluated, and out of 73 cities, Mysore stood as the first. And please don't forget, under Smart Cities mission, Bhubaneswar stood the first among 20 cities. And now among 73 cities, Mysore stood at first, followed by Chandigarh, Tiruchirappalli, New Delhi and Visakhapatnam as far as this Swach Sarvekshan results are concerned. And another important point is, by 2nd October 2019, when the nation will be celebrating 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, entire country will be made open defecation free. What is the meaning of open defecation free? That means nobody should go out for nature's calls. For attending nature's calls, no one should go out. The goal of the government is, by 2nd October 2019, entire country should be made open defecation free. And to achieve this, government is required to construct 1 crore household toilets and 2.5 lakh community toilets. Under Swach Bharat mission, by that date, 1 crore household toilets and 2.5 lakh community toilets are to be constructed, and by 2nd October 2019, entire country should be open defecation free. And please don't forget, by the end of December 2016, 400 cities or towns will be open defecation free, and out of these 400 towns or cities, Gujarat will contribute to 79. Right friends, look into the next issue. Government launched 2,200 crores of rupees Electronics Development Fund. And ultimately, this Electronics Development Fund will be upgraded to rupees 10,000 crores. And based on the task force set up by DITI, what is DITI? DITI is Department of Electronics and Information Technology. It is under the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology. And as per this task force set up by DITI, the demand for electronics products will increase to $400 billion a year by 2020. This Electronic Development Fund is aimed at basically creating an ecosystem of innovation, research and development. And the biggest problem in our country is innovation in our products. And the fund which is contemplated will be in the form of fund of funds. That means it will be invested in other funds. It will not be directly invested in the manufacturing sector, and it will be invested in other funds. That is the meaning of fund of funds, right? So here I put forth the 5 questions whether this Electronics Development Fund will succeed in meeting the goals. First and the biggest challenge is, can we match the cheap manufacturing of China? China has already created excess capacity, and at reduced costs it is dumping goods across the world because it has already created excessive manufacturing capability or capacity. Second point is, as per the Electronics Development Fund, it is focused on innovation and research and development, and the fund-starved SMEs can meet the criteria. Third important point is, it is designed on the concept of venture capital. So, what is meant by venture capital? Venture capital is that is invested basically by taking ownership. It is not the investment on loan basis. Loan is different from venture capital. So, here this Electronics Development Fund is designed on the lines of venture capital. Whether it will really benefit the SMEs, that is the biggest question. Then fourth important point is, most of the intellectual property rights in electronics are largely in the hands of few developed countries. Can India break this cycle? That is the biggest question. Then the last and most important point is, can our education system meet the challenges of innovation? Innovation is not the word appropriate to Indian conditions because of the lack of proper education system in our country. Whether our education and skill development will rise up to the challenge of innovation, that is the biggest question. Right friends, let us move on to the world events. Major world powers agree for cessation of hostilities in Syria. Major world powers including United States of America, then Russia, signed a temporary cessation of hostilities in Syria. You may ask, what is cessation of hostilities? Please look into this slide. For any country which is into civil war, before the actual peace process, with an intention to have peace in future, this cessation of hostilities will be contemplated. It is informal agreement. Truce is basically informal cessation of hostilities. There is a slight difference in meaning between truce and cessation of hostilities. Basically, cessation of hostilities looks at reducing the animosities, and it is, you can say, the first step towards the actual peace process. Informal first step towards the actual peace process. So, when the actual peace process starts, the three steps are ceasefire. Ceasefire is laying down of arms, no firing will be there. The next step is armistice, then finally it is a peace treaty. So, this cessation of hostilities is the informal step before the actual peace process. And in actual peace process, there will be three steps. One is ceasefire, armistice and peace treaty. And now as a first step, important world powers decided for cessation of hostilities. And if you look at Syria, Syria is Arabic speaking country. Previously it was part of Arab League. Please look into this. These are Arab League countries. Syria was a part of Arab League previously. Now it is suspended. And Syria is also part of Middle East countries. Please look into this slide. These are Middle East countries. And civil war started in Syria in the year 2011. And main reason for civil war in several Middle East countries is authoritarian regimes. And the other reasons are demographic sectarian tendencies. Sectarian lines, the countries are divided among Sunni and Shia groups, political corruption, human rights violations, powerful social media, unemployment. These are the ancillary reasons. But the biggest reason why this Arab Spring took place in 2011 and subsequently in several Middle East countries was authoritarian regimes. There is no democracy. The democracy is totally limited in several Middle East countries. That is the primary reason for Arab Spring. Once the Arab Spring started, the agitations took violent turn and finally it transformed into civil war in Syria. There are three groups. One is President Bashar al-Assad, supported by Iran, Russia and other groups like Hezbollah militia. And please don't forget, Iran is basically Shia dominated country and it is the leader of Shiite groups. And if you look at the second group is moderate opposition parties in Syria, supported by the Sunni group of Saudi Arabia as well as America and other Western powers. And third one is ISIS controlled areas. So like that, the country is divided into three groups and no one knows who is targeting whom. Under these circumstances, this cessation of hostilities is the right step in right direction. And if you look at Syria at a glance, total population before the start of civil war was 22 million and 17 million is the population at present. That means 5 million, around 4.5 million population left the country. Almost 2.5 lakh people lost their lives in civil war. And 13.5 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance inside Syria. Almost 75% of the population inside Syria require humanitarian assistance. And out of the migrants, 2.2 million migrants are staying in adjacent Turkey, and 1 million crossed to European countries, and most of them are staying in Germany. So, under this scenario or under these circumstances, you can say the cessation of hostilities is the right step, and let us hope some breakthrough in Syria in near future. And if you look at the last event of the week, first cargo train from China arrives in Iran. China and Iran are moving quite closer because of the reason sanctions on Iran were lifted. Now China wants to capture business opportunities in Iran. Accordingly, a cargo train from China to Iran, this started in China's Iwu and reached Tehran, traveling more than 10,000 kilometers, 14-day journey, 32 containers, and it finally reached Tehran, passing through Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. And what it implies? It implies that China is establishing solid structural linkages with the Eurasia region along the Silk Road economic belt. And the second important point is Iran is strategically located, sharing several common borders with several countries, and China wants Iran to play crucial role in Belt and Road Initiative. So now China is using Iran for its strategic advantages in this Eurasia region. Right friends, with this let us conclude lecture part. Please do join for news analysis. We are going to discuss, do the public sector banks really need deep surgery as suggested by Raghuram Rajan? Right friends, have a nice day. Thank you.